Vivekananda Satasvaswarupai Swamiji Tapaharini. Who was Swami Vivekananda? Of the bodily presence of him who was known to the world as Vivekananda, all that remains today is a bowl of ashes. Wrote Sister Nivedita in a character sketch appearing in the Hindu of Madras shortly after the Swami's passing away in 1902. She went on, "He passed when new and greater calls were ringing in his ears, silently ignoring the great fame that shone upon his name. Man-making was his own stern, brief summary of the work that was worth doing. And laboriously, unflaggingly, day after day, he set himself to man-making, playing the part of the guru, of father, even of schoolmaster by turns. External success and leadership were nothing to such a man. During his years in the West, he made rich and powerful friends who would gladly have retained him in their midst. But for him, the Occident, with all its luxuries, had no charms. To him, the curve of a beggar, the lanes of Calcutta, and the disabilities of his own people were more dear than all the glory of the foreigner. And detaining hands had to lose their hold of one who passed ever onward toward the east." She posed the question, what was it that the West heard in him, leading so many to hail and cherish his name as that of one of the greatest religious teachers of the world? And Nivedita herself answered, "He made no personal claim. He told no personal story. He made no attempt to popularize with strangers any single form of creed, whether of God or Guru. He quoted nothing but the Upanishads. He taught nothing but the Vedanta, and men trembled, for they heard the voice for the first time of the religious teacher who feared not truth. Burning renunciation was the chief aim of all inspirations that spoke to us through him. He was at once a sublime expression of superconscious religion and one of the greatest patriots ever born. He lived at a moment of national disintegration, and he was fearless of the new. He lived when men were abandoning their inheritance, and he was an ardent worshipper of the old. In him, the national destiny fulfilled itself, that a new wave of consciousness should be inaugurated, always in the leaders of the faith. In such a man, it may be that we possess the whole Veda of the future. We must remember, however, that the moment has not come for gauging the religious significance of Vivekananda. Religion is a living seed, and his sowing is but over. The time of his harvest is not yet. But death actually gives the patriot to his country. When the master has passed away from the midst of his disciples, when the murmurs of his critics are all hushed at the burning heart, when the great voice that spoke of freedom rings out unchallenged, and whole nations answer as one man. She asks, what then was the prophecy that Vivekananda left to his own people? With what national significance has he filled that Gerua mantle that he dropped behind him in his passing? Is it for us perhaps to lift the yellow rags upon our flagpole and carry them forward as our banner? She affirms, assuredly, for he was a man who never dreamt of failure. He was a man who spoke of not part strength. He had learned not only the hopes and ideals of every sect and group of the Indian people, but their memories also. A child of Bengal, returned to live by the Ganga side, one would have supposed from his enthusiasm that he had been born now in the Punjab, again in the Himalayas, at a third moment in Rajputana or elsewhere. The songs of Guru Nanak alternated with those of Mirabai and Tansen on his lips. Stories of Prithviraj and Delhi jostled against those of Chittor and Pratap Singh, Shiva and Uma, Radha and Krishna, Sita Ram and Buddha. Each mighty drama lived in a marvelous actuality when he was the player. His whole heart and soul was a burning epic of the country, touched to an overflow of mystic passion by his very name. Swami Nikhilananda wrote in his Vivekananda a biography. Since the day of his success at the Parliament of Religions in Chicago, which had filled with joy and pride the hearts of his countrymen, Swami Vivekananda had been inspiring his faithful followers to lay down their lives for the uplift of the masses of India, and in particular, to help the hungry and illiterate. In his heart of hearts, he felt that India would not be able to resist his appeal. Many months before, he had said, "But India shall listen to me. I will shake India to her foundations. I will send an electric thrill through her veins. Wait, you will see how India receives me. It is India, my own India, that knows truly how to appreciate what I have given so freely here and with my life's blood. India will receive me in triumph." Swami Vivekananda was the eagle who soared high up with open wings, in company with the kingly swan, to snatch from the heavens the bits of the touchstone that would transform the lives and bring deliverance to the crawling and groveling little gods stuck up in the quagmire of samsara, deluded by the mirage of Maya down here. Coming out of the woods of dead society, as it were, the lion jumped from shore to shore, from summit to summit of the vast range of mountains, made up of clusters and heaps of dead bones of divinities, with a heart bleeding profusely for their illusory suffering. His yells rent the air of the Mother Earth. "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." The hero of the era waged a total war against bondage and commanded all to tear asunder the fetters and to be free. "Freedom, freedom, freedom is the song of the soul," roared the lion. The colossus took the globe in his hand, as it were, and gave it a good shaking. Frightening bad dreams vanished, and the long dark night melted into a smiling morn. This was a new dawn in the history of mankind. This is the meaning of the birth of Vivekananda. He was not born on the 12th of January 1863 at a particular moment. He is still being born each day, each moment in the hearts of hundreds of men and women. Did not the prophet poet Vivekananda sing, "Move on, O Lord, in thy resistless path, till thy high noon overspreads the world, till every land reflects thy light, till men and women with uplifted head behold their shackles broken and know in springing joy their life renewed"? Close come his assuring words. "It may be that I shall find it good to get outside of my body, to cast it off like a disused garment, but I shall not cease to work. I shall inspire men everywhere until the world shall know that it is one with God." In January 1904, Swamiji's birthday celebration was going on. On the 10th, in a public meeting at Belur Mutt, Sister Nivedita rose to speak. She said, We have not assembled here to get lost momentarily in the exhilaration and exuberance of the celebrations. The celebration is arranged in order that we may acquire the power through which we may put our heart and soul to translate the teachings of Swamiji into action. What did he teach? Did he want that men should sing in his praise? No. We know that he hated name and fame from the bottom of his heart. Did he want that the name of his master, Sri Ramakrishna, be spread by all far and wide? No, he did not want that. Did he want that his special advices and methods of work be followed by all? No, he did not want that even. What did he want then? He wanted all to stand upon their own feet and to be men. Vivekananda, the prophet philosopher, looked at the world phenomenon and made a brief summary in the words. After all, this world is a series of pictures, and man-making is the great interest running through. We were all watching the making of men, and that alone. Vivekananda's observation catches a glimpse of the whole in its dynamic state, giving a meaning of all these meaningless flux, the airy nothing. The froth and foam of the flux had a meaning to Swami Vivekananda. This meaning gives the dynamism to Neo-Vedanta or practical Vedanta preached by Swami Vivekananda. Thus his slogan was, "Move on, Charaiveti, Charaiveti." It was he who rose like the sun as the messenger of the gospel of light of the Lord of this age, Sri Ramakrishna, to scatter it in all directions. To use the lines of a poet of his own century, and not by the eastern windows only, when the daylight comes in the light. In front, the sun climbs slow, how slowly, but westward look, the land is bright. And he said, "Bring, O light to the world, bring light to the poor, and more light to the rich, for they require it more than the poor. Bring light to the ignorant, and more light to the educated, for the vanities of the education of our time are tremendous. Thus bring light to all, and leave the rest unto the Lord." He had seen God face to face. He had touched the feet of the God incarnate. He knew God is everywhere. So came to us a saint the like of which is rare on earth, as eulogized by the philosopher-poet Prince Bhartrihari in a verse of which Swami Vivekananda was so fond. "Manasi vachasi kaye punya piyusha purnas tribhuvanam upakara shenivhi prinayantah paraguna paramanun parvati kritya nityam nija hridi vikasantah santi santah yantah." In his mind, word and deed, the holy nectar always flows. He pleases the three worlds with a series of benevolent works. He makes a hill out of an atom of goodness discovered in anyone, and that enlarges his own heart. Rare is such a saint. The ice had broken and flowed down like the Ganga, the vivifying message of Vivekananda, the call of the age to man. Bold words and bolder deeds are what we want. Awake, awake, great ones. The world is burning with misery. Can you sleep? Let us call and call till the sleeping gods awake. What more is in life? What greater work? Be and make. Let this be your motto. If you seek your own salvation, you will go to hell. It is the salvation of others that you must seek. And even if you have to go to hell in working for others, that is worth more than to gain heaven by seeking your own salvation. Sacrifice in the past has been the law. It will be, alas, for ages to come. Ye divinities on earth, sinners. It is a sin to call a man so. It is a standing libel on human nature. Come up, O lions, and shake off the delusion that you are sheep. Your souls immortal, spirits free, blessed and eternal. Ye are not matter. Ye are not bodies. Matter is your servant, not you the servant of matter. He taught life. He taught expansion of heart. He taught universal love. He taught renunciation and service. He taught manliness and fearlessness. He took each man where he stood and gave him a lift, and his plan found an expression in the lines of Browning. Progress, man's distinctive mark alone, not gods and not beasts. God is, they are. Man partly is and wholly hopes to be. Thus, Swami Vivekananda does not give us some fixed ideals, fixed creeds, fixed rites and rituals. What he gives is a general plan, a master plan for the future to suit the needs of every sort of individuals, of all climes and clans belonging to all religions and philosophies. Vivekananda stands between the sacred and the secular, sannyasa and samsara, the individual and society, depth and diffusion, the east and the west, past and present, faith and reason, religion and science, knowledge and action, and synthesizes them in his magnificent personality. He called particularly the young, the energetic, the intelligent, to put their shoulders under the wheel of future construction, to come forward with brain and brawn and a heart as soft as the tender flower and as strong as the thunderbolt. He said, I have given you advice enough. Now put at least something in practice. Let the world see that your listening to me has been a success. Who were to stem the tide of degeneration at the sacrifice of name and fame, wealth and enjoyment, nay, of every hope of this or other worlds? A few men have jumped into the breach and sacrificed themselves. They are a few. We want a few thousands of such as they, and they will come.